welcome to the Nerd Nite podcast. I'm Kid Thunder DJ.
I'm 547.
I'm SuperSayinFive.
And I'm RaaahHarley.
All right. Well, we just finished recording the Gauntlet Dreamcast play, and now we're moving on to our actual podcast for the week. A couple things we're going to talk about, mostly in the video game world, a little bit of movies and TV. So first we'll get the TV news out of the way. Apparently, Adventure Time is ending after its 9th season, which should put it running through 2018.
That's what I had saw on a couple television-related Facebook pages.
All right.
That's what they reported on.
Anybody here watch it or regularly?
I'm planning on watching it at some point.
I've never really enjoyed it.
I like the episodes I've seen. I get that they were clearly, going for the older kid audience, which is, of course, why more millennial-aged teenagers and young adults gravitated towards it. It was the same sort of deal as the regular show, which is also ending. I think it's ending next year. I think it's ending in 2017. We talked about that on one of the other podcasts that it's ending.
One of the good things I like about it is that it's not just being canceled or it's not being dropped from the network. It's ending on its own right.
Yeah,
and that's something I kind of like.
Yeah, there's been a big deal about that lately. Like the guys behind Gravity Falls were like, no, we only wanted it to be a 2-season show, and it ended the way they wanted it to. Again, regular shows ending the way it wants it to. It is always better when a show can just end and not get forced
canceled,
to end.
And rush it.
Like one of my favorite shows, cartoon shows like that, was Home Movies.
Yeah,
I loved Home Movies.
The entire 3rd season, they knew they were going to be canceled, so there was no consistency. They were just basically parroting movies, and in the end, it had really taken away from its.
It was
quality.
super scatterbrained.
It was
last season.
Like they cared about one part, and that was setting up Coach McGurk and the mom finally getting together.
Well, I would say one thing I can say about Adventure Time is that if you're interested in a show, stay away from Tumblr, because Tumblr can run the risk of potentially ruining a show for you, because the way the fandoms in general, and how they do shows, it's just like you either find yourself going, I'm going to check this out, and then get disappointed because the fan stuff everyone does, or they're just like, oh god, this show.
You either love it or hate it.
Yeah, Tumblr ruins everything. Just stay away from Tumblr. That's the life lesson here.
Well,
not even Tumblr.
There's some cool stuff on Tumblr.
Like I say, just stay away from fandoms.
There's
in
porn
general.
and hatred. That's about all I've ever seen on Tumblr. Even for things people like, there's porn and hatred. And I mean, like, there is Adventure Time porn and Adventure Time hatred on there. I mean, the one nice thing about Adventure Time is they got the voice of Bender on there. The voice of
Jake.
Bender,
Yeah, for Jake.
Yeah, he's on there. And, I mean, it's a funny show.
And didn't Futurama actually make a reference where Bender went down in like one of the later episodes?
Yeah, there's a little cameo clip of them. And The Simpsons did a couch gag based on it not that long ago. So
yeah, that was fun.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they also did a couch gag off of Rick and Morty.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Rick and Morty did one with Simpsons, I think.
Yeah, they showed up as one of the couch gags. Yeah, and they ended up killing everyone and
trying to replace everything.
Yeah, genetically trying to clone them all while he sends Morty while Rick is just trying to steal everything.
And it turned into like a giant
blob of the Simpsons.
Oh, yes, that was great.
I even like how it ends with Bart saying how they really hate these guest artists.
Right. No more guest artists, please. Which is funny and accurate. All right. So that's the biggest television news we have. Fear the Walking Dead, because, only one more week we'll have to talk about that, because this week I think they're showing the last 2 episodes together.
I really feel like there's never anything to talk about with that show.
They tried this. You know what? This is the season they really tried. And a couple things stuck.
I want to delve into that for a little bit, if we can.
As someone who has only seen the first season, there was nothing about it. There was absolutely nothing about it that made me want to watch the second season. And I feel bad because I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. And it didn't do it for me.
It's because after the first episode, they hit the fast forward button, and all the great... I mean, we talked about this before. Yeah. All the great things they could have did with the premise of the extreme early on, they threw out the window in favor of just trying to get them into the apocalypse. And then, of course, because you lost the surprise factor of all the stuff we found out in later seasons with Rick, like everyone being infected. Yeah. You can or you can turn, however. They breezed through all that in the first 2 episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
They already knew.
But even if they would have breezed through that, if they would have done some more, I guess, character development, everyone just felt really hollow. There was not one part, not the actors, not the storyline. There was not one part of that show that I enjoyed.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the one exception to that would have been the, what was his name, Salazar?
Well, yeah, but you're getting into individual characters. I'm talking about the show as a whole.
Oh, yeah, as a whole. But I mean, she's saying...
There's 2 ways I would have liked to have seen the show. I already talked about one, so I'll just recap it. One is, it's one of them, and it probably should have been Nick, does see the first zombie, but it's already kind of been going on enough that instead of running away and getting hit by a car, he flips out, calls for help, gets, the cops already kind of seem to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Gloria gets put down right away with a headshot, but nobody talks about it. They try to arrest him at first, and, his family believes him, and, they eventually, you don't see another zombie again till the end of the first season. That should have been the big first season cliffhanger.
And they should have also done the first season as a full season instead of trying to repeat the 6-episode thing.
Right. And then you have the second season focused entirely on, okay, other people may have seen it, but again, because it's so out of the ordinary, because, again, any zombie show works by one simple premise. Zombies didn't exist in any other media.
Yeah.
There's no George Romero in this world. There's no anything like that to kind of bring people in. Right.
Yeah.
To even give you the basics of, we'll shoot them in the head or whatever. That doesn't exist. It's just that. Now, the other thing I would have really liked, and I only just recently thought of this because I was kind of watching clips from the other Walking Dead, is I would have liked to have seen it start with the CDC people.
Yeah.
Dr. Jenner.
Yeah.
They could have brought him back. They could have brought back, all of that. And
him acknowledging that there's nothing else that they can do.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could have seen everything that happened on the Vi recording, and then you could have get another season out of everything.
I was going to say,
up to Rick showing up.
They could do an interesting kind of cameo where maybe not they're focusing specifically on him from the CDC, but another sect of it, and maybe they do a little cameo where they converse him. Not even talking maybe long distance communication when they're still early researching it because they're in far different areas.
Yeah.
So obviously they might not show up yet, or they might not be in the same room, but we could be following another sect of the group as they're trying to figure this out. And then they commute with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some sort of reference as to connect this world. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, to have a bit of a more of a frame of reference as to how it related to The Walking Dead.
I think part of the problem is that they were trying so hard to ride on the coattails of the first show that they totally missed the concept of doing this show as if the other show never existed.
They
That's
didn't
what they
think they had to do much. They really didn't. I mean,
between that and following a lot of the same basic guidelines and plot lines, you can find a lot of similarities between some of just the basic setups from the first.
Too many for it to stand on its own.
That's their curse, is because they wanted, the biggest reason they wanted Fear the Walking Dead, other than this notion of doing something different, is they wanted characters completely independent of the comics.
Yeah.
And they got their wish, but to try to get
they're hollow.
The casual fans, because again, if you're, this is pretty much my catchphrase at this point, if you're a hardcore fan of something, you're no longer the target audience. They've got you.
Yeah.
You're not, within reason, you're not going anywhere. Even if you don't like Fear the Walking Dead, you're probably still going to watch The Walking Dead. They've got you somewhere. They were hoping they could fast forward through a first season to get anybody who didn't watch The Walking Dead in, and that they could make up for it with, honestly, a really good second season. And if they had tried just a little bit harder, it probably would have done what they wanted to do. But the problem is they're already starting to fast their end of season fast forward. They do in both shows.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not, they're guilty of that in The Walking Dead as well. And they're quickly bringing everybody back together, which I didn't like. I kind of like the idea of the main characters being divided up in different groups that you focus on, because it gives stories chance to breathe without filler.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And did you actually watch last week's episode?
Yeah, I did. I eventually watched it. I didn't watch it day of, but I watched it the next day.
Was I the only one that felt like it was just really teen drama, melodramatic the whole time?
Well, that's been the hallmark of Fear the Walking Dead. They're they're clearly focusing more on the kids than the adults.
But where we were talking about it getting its upswing as far as setting things up and having things going on, it really felt like it was starting to fall back again.
That's what I was saying. That's part of the problem with the fast forward.
Yeah,
because when you fast forward too hard on a show like this, you lose that, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
So.
This was where we were talking about being impressed with the last couple episodes. This is definitely where we're falling back the other way, and not enjoying them quite as much. I didn't care for much for last week's episode.
I would think that honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I believe they're showing both episodes that are left this Sunday.
Well, I think it's a 2-hour thing. I think it's one episode, but you get the point.
Right. Well, I mean, they officially list them as 2 for when it's on DVD and when it's syndicated.
Well, then, yeah.
So it's technically 2 episodes.
Right.
I wouldn't watch it. If I had to wait, I'd probably skip the one and just watch the, previously and get into the season finale just to say I've seen it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I'll probably watch the whole thing. Maybe not day of again. I'll probably wait for it to be on AMC.com.
I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be the series finale, even if they don't say it, unless it's already been picked up.
No, they've already... not series. They got approved for the
really?
second and third season.
Oh, wow.
1 episode after the first.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So, one episode into the first. Yeah, they got... They're guaranteed through the third, and I think they got picked up for a fourth for sure, even.
Oh, Lord.
So the show still does. It doesn't do anywhere near its debut ratings or anywhere near Walking Dead ratings, but it does better than anything else they're going to put on that night.
It's like a really, really good train wreck.
It is. And not even a fun train wreck. It's
not even. But
it's actually enjoying the mechanical wreck. It's not even the aftermath.
Yeah.
For horror fans. But anyway.
You can't look away.
Yeah, let's get off the Walking Dead. They don't deserve this much airtime. We're going to move into video game news now. First, I picked up God Eater 2, which was cool because the Day Zero edition came with the original God Eater, which I never played. It's a pretty good game. It's very, very anime influenced. In fact, if you look at the cover, they're very clearly taking a Ruby reference because it's a person in a red Riding Hood type hood holding a big mechanical scythe.
Like gun scythe thing, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and every weapon turns into a gun or a shield as well. So if you played Monster Hunter, it's that, but less focused on the meticulous side of things. It's way quicker paced.
I was gonna say,
it's a more arcade version of it.
Well, it almost looks like, whereas Monster Hunter was very much like organic based because you were always like harvesting something from the monsters for your weapons.
Well, you're still doing that here.
This seems more mechanical.
Yeah, but you still harvest from each monster. You still have to.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm just talking more about like design wise.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Like whatever you made in Monster Hunter looked like it was made out of animal parts. Like
like you just basically hit with like a giant claw.
There was definitely that hunter gatherer feel to it. So it's not a bad game. It's a great way to waste time. Storyline, and it's not really existent. It's got a story. It's any J action RPG story. You got to stop evil. There's people above you that'll get in your way. You'll fall in love with the kind of weird nerdy chick. That's standard form for if you've played any of the Atlas games, you've got this. So it's a pretty good game overall. And I wanted to get to that quickly because I don't know if I'm going to do a YouTube vid on it. I kind of want to steer the YouTube channel back towards classics. And unless it's a really good modern game, not really deal with it. Or for the DJ Versus series, because those are always fun to humiliate myself with. So, moving on from that. Something I didn't notice had happened, which is funny because I've been kind of on the watch for it, is LEGO Dimensions, I guess, Season 2 has finally started. Mm-hmm. I know there's new packs out already. Right. Lots of new franchises coming. The short list I was able to find is A-Team, Adventure Time, Beetlejuice, E.T., Harry Potter, based on Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Ghostbusters, which unfortunately is based on the new one.
I personally like the new Ghostbusters. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
I haven't watched it.
I probably will watch it, and I will probably enjoy it when I see it. But there's just so much to it that it's one of those movies that I have to wait a while to see. So I got to let the heat and the bullshit die down from it. And once I do, I'll be able to give it a fair chance. And then once I give it a fair chance...
that's why it helps to ignore all that.
You can't, especially when you're researching for a podcast or whatever. You'll the same site I go to for other movie news is just full of stories about anything related to a big release. Anyway, Goonies, I think I said, Gremlins, Knight Rider, which I believe the Knight Rider character pack is out now. Regular Harry Potter based on the first set of movies. The Lego Batman movie. One of the ones that I'm excited, Lego City Undercover, which is one of the best reasons to own a Wii U. That is far and away one of the best Lego games. Is Lego
Yeah, that was
City.
really fun.
Yeah. Mission Impossible.
Hey, Dustin.
What?
Scroll down.
Powerpuff Girls.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
Is it the new? Is it based on the new or old one?
Hopefully the old one. Yeah,
Right.
I cannot stand the new Powerpuff Girls.
Sonic the Hedgehog, and which I'm looking forward to,
Yes.
and Teen Titans Go.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Well, see, I'm sorry. For you, like, you don't stand the new Powerpuff Girls. Can't stand Teen Titans Go, and what
Both of them
pisses
suck.
me off about Teen Titans Go is that they specifically made an episode pointing out that they knew they pissed off all the fans of the original Teen Titans Go and pretty much gave a giant fuck you in that episode.
Where Control Freak shows the original to the
Yeah.
Teen Titans Go characters.
right.
Yeah, that was a gigantic middle finger.
Yeah.
But it was a middle finger they needed to give because you know what? Guess which one makes more money?
Teen
Technically,
Titans Go.
technically, the first one would have done fine if the executives behind the series weren't so, backwards thinking in regards to who they wanted to market towards.
But that's just it. The original age group they were marketing to, and
Has
the older group
grown up. Like,
it wasn't even that. They just weren't spending money. Young Justice died because they couldn't sell the toys.
I'll
No,
put
Young
it to you
Justice-
like this.
no, Young
My
Justice died.
7-year-old watches Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
His friends at school talk about Teen Titans Go. The only ones who are talking about Teen Titans are people our age. And they're not the ones, we're not the age group who matters.
Well, no. The problem is we're not the age group who matters in the fact that only a handful of us would buy merchandise based on that.
Yep.
Like hardcore fans do that.
Yep.
And again, if you're the hardcore fan, you're not the target audience. The Teen Titans Go stuff is selling to the younger kids. And no, before you say anything about Young Justice, this was literally the quote from Warner Brothers. The show was not marketable in second market opportunities.
And according to the creator of Young Justice, Cartoon Network did not like the fact that young girls were liking Young Justice, and they killed the show because of that.
Wow,
That's the excuse they may have gotten, but the official answer from the people behind it, like the studio behind it which is Warner Brothers, is we couldn't sell toys. So, I mean, everybody kind of wants a reason, so
I was gonna say,
both are probably true.
I was gonna say both. It's probably column A, column B. You know what I mean?
Right.
A little bit of both.
Right. But, and Teen Titan Go, I'm not one of those people who got all butthurt about what they did to it. There's merits and flaws to both shows. There's merits and flaws to both seasons of Young Justice. The first season was okay. The second season where they were all a little bit older, and they basically had to function as the Justice League.
Yeah.
Which was good because you didn't have them bailing them out every 5 minutes. So it was a good show. I really wish they could have gotten a third season. It would have been great to see where they go. Now, getting into some of the new things they're announcing is obviously, you're going to stuff all these characters into being able to be played during the main game, but there's also going to be upcoming multi-level packs. Because before you'd get a level pack, it was one level,
Yep.
and it was a 2-figure pack. That was it. Now there's going to be 6 levels.
Oh, wow.
Based on Fantastic Beasts, the new Ghostbusters, Lego Batman movie. Those are the 3 we know for sure. And there's even supposed to be a competitive multiplayer angle added to it.
I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Yeah, I'm wondering what the competitive part of it is because, it's pretty good multiplayer on its own. So got to see what they do with that and see if it's anything worth doing. We'll talk about movies real fast. The only big deal is Magnificent Seven, which I really want to see.
Same here.
Is top in the box office, which is good because it's a Western and it's a Western style. And
I don't remember hearing of the movie.
What's up?
I don't think I remember hearing much of this movie. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah. It's a remake, which also worried me because the first one was really good.
The first one was also a remake.
Yeah, it was. But I'm just speaking within the scope that most people may remember. It was a really well done movie, so we got to see how that turns out. But all the reviews have been good. It's been very well received by people who saw the original, and it's doing well at the box office, which is good. Now, around this weekend, actually, a couple other things coming out. Masterminds.
Yeah, that comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's based on the real armored car robbery by inside employees, although they're playing them way more comical in this movie.
Okay.
But the event that's based on is real. That should be...
Yeah, I hadn't
Interesting.
even heard about that movie until this week.
Yeah, which is, they went real aggressive online. Like, that was all over the YouTube pre-plays for a while, pre-play ads. I had to see the same trailer for that thing 100 times, and it's, look, we're really kind of dumb, but we're going to pull this off. And it's like, okay, I realize the guy who did this in real life really wasn't that smart. but he wasn't that dumb. You
Yeah.
know, but it's based on. It's not a real documentary here, so
Kind of like with Pain and Gain,
right.
which I
Right.
actually enjoyed.
Which, hopefully when it comes time for the comeuppance for them, they don't try to have that same sort of, this is still funny that Pain and Gain had, because I think they kept the humor in that movie a bit too long. Around the time people started actually getting hurt
Yeah.
was when they should have toned away from the humor, and they tried to hang on just a little too long, and it kind of did take out.
See, I guess for me that kind of worked just because the general premise to me was so ridiculously humorous, with the fact that the guys who pulled off this heist, that them keeping the humor to me kind of just fit, because a bunch of muscle bound guys who decided to do this just because they thought they could, and it seems kind of ridiculous on the surface. So for me, them keeping the humor as long as they did kind of worked.
Maybe. I mean, and to each their own. Deepwater Horizon's coming out.
Wasn't that based on the oil rig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing a little bit of the commercial for that. That actually looked pretty cool.
Yep. Matt Damon, I believe, is starring in that one. One of the pretty Hollywood blonde guys who always ends up being the unlikely heroes.
Well, I think Kevin Costner's in it, isn't he?
No, that's Waterworld.
That's fair. I do know Kurt Russell's in it, though. Is it Kurt Russell or the?
No, that's Escape from New York.
No, I know there's an actor who
Here,
plays the older actors, like the older guys having a beard. Looks like Kurt Russell.
Oh God, what is his name? He was in the True Grit remake. Let's see who's starring in it. Yeah, here we go. Dead air. That's never good.
No.
Nope.
Keep talking.
Yeah, Kurt
keep
Russell's.
Talking, keep
Yeah,
talking.
Kurt Russell's in it. John Malkovich, Mark Wahlberg,
Mark Wahlberg.
Ah.
Ethan Suplee. He's always funny. When did he get thin?
Who's that?
He's a lot thinner. Ethan Suplee. You've seen this guy 1,000 times. He's been a high schooler for 30
He
years.
was in the original Power Rangers. He was the bully.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he
No,
was.
you're thinking of,
Nope. That was Bulk. Was not Ethan Suplee.
He wasn't?
no.
Nope.
His name was something Scarby or something like that.
I'm gonna say to the
That's
IMDb.
right. Okay, they looked.
They do
they
look alike.
similar,
Like I would
yeah.
have thought that they were related, but they're definitely not.
Is this the guy who's like kind of like the nerdy looking guy with glasses?
He was literally the big bully in Boy Meets World for a lot of years. Who then like in the last the last season of them being in high school was kind of their friend.
Okay, yeah,
And he was also in My Name Is Earl.
Yeah, he was in My Name Is
Oh,
Earl.
yeah.
He was
That
in
guy.
he was in Clerks 2. He's one of the guys who walks up. He's the heavier set dude that walks up with the other guy to buy drugs from Jay and Silent Bob when they start spouting out scriptures.
Okay, yeah, he
That's-
does look like the guy who played Bulk in Power Rangers.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that was Paul Schreier.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry, Bulk and Skull lasted far too long on that show.
Yeah.
Power Rangers lasted far too long.
Hey,
It's still
I watched
lasting.
It's
all
still
the way
going.
to RPM. I actually liked the show when it skewed more adult and basically aged with the audience that it originally had.
Yeah.
Actually, that's I part of like.
well, they
the show,
reboot that show every few years. The reason why the American version got rebooted is it technically went more seasons than the Japanese series. They were taking all the action clips
Yeah.
to.
With Mighty Morphin, yeah, but once they went from Zeo on, then they were actually staying matched up with the Japanese series.
Yep, and then the last movie that I tentatively call a major release is this American Honey. It's some teenage girl kind of leaves home to join. You ever get those people who show up at your door trying to sell magazines?
Yep.
Yeah,
got one of those,
she
yeah.
joins them. Which,
Oh well, that sounds
Jehovah's
riveting.
well, it's supposed to like show all the seediness that goes along with that group, which
Oh.
I actually believe because, honestly enough, way back, this is when I got my first apartment. This was back living in Springfield. Me and my roommates, one of them came to our door. Mm-hmm. And we're just standing there talking to them because we have nothing better to do and we're getting hammered. And they start getting hammered with us and they're talking about, you're not really, you're going to all these places and you're only paid for whatever subscriptions you get. So other than that, you're free to do whatever. So it's believable that, some of the stuff that happens in this movie probably happened. It might be interesting to laugh at because I'm also sure they're going to blow a lot of things way out of proportion. Like, yeah, that probably didn't. Probably wouldn't happen. The best part of all is when, I hope I wonder if they ever figured out that the check we gave them for all the magazines we signed up for wasn't legit. Wasn't my account. I don't care.
So, by now, I think they probably did.
And before anybody goes, oh my god, it was fake checks. We were messing around with that.
Oh, okay, so
yeah,
didn't bounce real
they,
checks.
They didn't even have an actual routing number on them, but they didn't pay enough attention. So yeah, but okay, all right. So we did lose one person because it's getting a little late, but anyway, so yeah, that's why Harley's gone. She has to slip out, so that's what she was letting us know.
Yep.
So
we'll see you later.
Yeah, we'll hopefully try to get her back when we get the equipment working better on the first try. Oh yeah, she almost forgot to find. I was like, "What are you trying to sign to her?" Just we already told her to leave. You may as well say whatever. All right, so yeah, it's fine.
I was like, "Hey, you better get your phone."
Hey, this
Hey, I'm walking here.
Well, I'm not, but we used to have a saying. Hey, we don't appreciate Nazis, or I'm comfortable being called a Nazi. What do you think you're going to call me that's going to hurt my feelings?
A Jew.
Oh. It's funny because it's true. I mean, what? No.
Children.
It's ignorant and racist.
True, but
That's ignorant.
to a Nazi person, they would hate that.
Which part? The Jews or, All right, just... Anyway. Right. So that's that movie, yeah. So there's definitely some potential there for some real funny stuff.
Right. So I believe that was about it.
But anyway, so let's move on. What do you think?
Actually, I think we should move on.
All right. So that's enough on movies. There's nothing else. I mean, welcome to the nice lull between summer and Christmas season, which is probably going to start getting filled up more and more as time goes on, because they're beginning to understand, this time of year and right after Christmas, people have gotten so used to bad movies coming out that marginally good movies are making a lot of money this time of year.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see more of those areas get filled in with better movies. But
it's Oscar season.
I was going to say
that's not even it's not even that. That's more in December. You see that more at the end of December. You see all the Oscar bait films.
I was going to say, but also at the same time, you still get movies that are really good in their own right that just don't make anything when they really should. Like that Kubo movie.
Yeah,
that one that came out.
Well, that was a summer enter. They were just hoping to get kids on that one.
Yeah, and they
didn't. They got more adults going to that than they got kids, which is.
And it's a shame because reportedly it was a really good movie. It didn't make what it deserves.
Right.
It's just an example of sticking to old style of marketing that is outdated. That really should be changed at this point.
Right.
Yeah, the stop motion art style.
No, not that. The idea that you could only market to one group at a time and bank only on that one group.
Right. Assuming a kids movie is going to draw empirically just kids is, that is
it's
old
crippling.
Hollywood.
It's crippling.
It is, but they've learned their lesson a little bit, but they got to be careful because Hollywood is a house of cards industry. It always will be. You could cripple Hollywood with a pretty huge ripple effect in every other industry if China just said, you know what, no American movies for 5 years.
Yeah.
Because they control every movie that comes in. That's why you see more Chinese actors and things. Is because that's one of the ways to guarantee they don't have to be major characters. But, random doctor guy.
Which actually is starting to piss off the Chinese.
Yeah. But for a while that helped. It was like, random doctor guy who's going to explain things. Dr. Exposition used to just be random white character actor. Now it's random Asian character actor.
True.
Whose name is, or random Chinese really because, and they get a small text name on the poster.
Yeah. Commonly known as BD Wong.
Right. There is that. So, yeah.
He's a good actor, though.
Yeah, he is. I really don't like that they kind of turned him into a bad guy in Jurassic World. A little bit.
If you really look at the first Jurassic Park movie, he kind of was there, too.
No, there he was just more of an asshole who didn't care because he got the hell out as soon as things went south. Like for all of his supposed, oh look, the dinosaurs are great. It was like he was gone because you don't see him again.
Well, Jurassic World kind of implied that he was might have been the mastermind behind what's his face doing what he did in the first movie.
Right. Well, I thought what they should have did is because just in the time that movie was made to now, we learned so much more about dinosaurs, and there's a lot of inaccuracies in that movie. Really, in reality, since we don't know what dinosaurs honestly looked like, most of that really should have come across as being genetic monsters.
Yeah.
Because that's really what they were.
Well, yeah.
And there should have been something of a call out on that. Sorry, by the way, if you picked up any noise in the recording just now. I was trying to pull up results for Clash of the Champions, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
And a video popped up as a stupid
ad.
Yeah, ad.
No, those are fun.
Yep.
So, Dustin, in the meantime, how did the toy show go?
Toy show is interesting. I know everybody's like, toy show, but if you were paying attention, we talked about it all in our last round of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't make it to this one.
No, you didn't. We wanted to give you a break because you and I had a little bit of a tussle in the last one. Not like a real fight, just a little bit of a disagreement and a little bit of a bad situation, and we felt maybe giving you a break. Happen. Yeah, everything's fine, but we thought maybe giving you a break wouldn't hurt.
Yep.
Let you focus on your school stuff and everything else. But this month's toy show wasn't bad. Lots of things I've noticed. First of all, they need a bigger venue. And I know there's that weird thallowness of, well, if we go to a bigger venue, we've got to charge more. We can't always guarantee we're going to draw the crowd. But, man, people just won't stay. If you got a lot of stuff like we do, it's hard to get people to stay in your booth very long because everybody's coming up behind you trying to push you out of the way.
Yeah. This is just stuff I know from past experiences. Yeah. Once you just get so many people in the aisle, they just kind of shuffle along. They don't really sit and look unless they're super interested in what you have. And even then, they don't always buy stuff, which is kind of an annoyance.
Yep.
True, but to be fair, that tends to be the case for any type of con or event sort of thing like that. There's always going to be people who are mostly just there to hopefully buy stuff, but then they might go, I was going to get it, but then maybe, that looks cool over there. I'll get that instead.
Yeah, you're always going to have your browsers, and then people are always going to be like, well, I want to check everything first, and then I'll be back to you guys if something else doesn't catch my eye first, and then that never happens. They never show back up most of the time.
Well, the thing you have to realize, and the reason why we're bringing this up is, I'm sure we've all been to other types of cons.
Yeah.
Or some other like
vendor rooms in most of those. Everybody's got space. Everybody's got a chance to have a spot where they can crowd around each booth, and really that needs to happen here.
Yeah.
Because even the aisles getting into the main, the main show area are lined with vendor tables.
Yeah, it just shows how many are attending this.
You figure one on each side, plus they further divide the middle for kind of a first loop around to get even more people through. You got space barely wider than me to get through. Nobody wants to stop for that.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. The other problem is, I know they're popular, but if you're a vendor, if you're a promoter of an event right now, you've got to tell people, you've got to find out what people plan to sell. And if you get more than 3 or 4 vendors, depending on your size, saying I'm selling Funko Pops, don't let them in.
Yeah.
Because you may as well be walking down the aisle at Target now. Because it's just wall-to-wall pops. And one of our good friends, the guys at Toys of Our Youth, they deal a lot in pops. And they were one of the first at this particular show to really kind of go hard in on pops. And it's not really fair to them as being the people who kind of brought them to the game are getting edged out of their game by people selling the same thing.
True, but having been to cons and events where most people are selling Funko Pops, I've noticed no one's ever really selling the same Funko Pops. It seems to be like each per set of people have a different grouping of them.
That's not entirely true. One of the big complaints about Wizard World this last time is that the vendor room was almost all pops, and it was really ticking off people who paid, $70 to $80 a ticket to be there, to be in a vendor room. To hopefully, it used to be the place to find great rare stuff. Everybody went the cheap, easy road. And even if you have different pops because you have some that you got a better deal on at a different era and stuff, the idea still remains that they're so readily available anywhere else that to have that much of a convention space dedicated to a product that's that readily available is a little bit of an insult to people who go to cons for the spirit of going to a con, which is, I'm going to see all this great stuff in relation to a thing I'm a fan of. I'm going to try to find a rare vendor item.
But I'm just going to be with everyone.
If you think about it, though, that goes back to what you were saying before. They know they've got the hardcore people.
They don't.
when it
events are different.
See, that's the thing. Wizard World is nationwide, and for them, they want to get as many new people as they can.
They do.
So for them, they already know they've got the hardcore fans. And most of the fans for Wizard World aren't even going for the vendor room. They're going for the celebrity guests. And the vendor room is more of a secondary thing.
No, the celebrity guest is what gets them their casual fan. Because most people who are a casual fan don't collect stuff. They don't collect pops. They don't collect rare, props or items related to they don't collect rare comic books. They go, this actor who was in this movie I like that may not even be a movie that goes along with a Comic-Con or a Wizard World thing, but they're going to be there, and this person knows, so okay, yeah, I'll go meet them for a meet and greet, or I'll listen to a panel where they're speaking. That's your casual audience for a con. For a hardcore fan, they are going for all the ancillary stuff. They're going to dress up. They're going to compete in costume contests or whatever. They don't care about the big, Hollywood star who's doing this to promote a movie they're in for 20 minutes. They're going to see the voice actor for the American dub of an anime that, 5 people know about.
Yeah, that's kind of how things were when we were at Anime St. Louis, because I know my big highlight, or excitement hype, I guess you should say, for it was the fact that 2 voice actors from RWBY were showing up. I was really excited to meet them, and they did really well too. It was a lot of fun for their panels and stuff.
I'll admit, I pretty much avoid Anime St. Louis because aside from the few friends of mine that go, and even some of them, I've heard them make this complaint, the amount of teenage anime fans who are annoying in how they act about it, it just keeps me away from it.
Well, that's the problem with anime conventions in general. Anime really is more of a young person thing. I know my wife would smack me for saying that, but she would have to admit, if she was being honest, that a lot more people care about that go to those things are teenagers.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the same as Comic-Con, where for the hardcore aspect of what Comic-Con is, which is a comic convention, it still skews a lot older.
Yeah.
So, especially for the deep-rooted stuff.
I think that kind of just ties in the fact more that it's like, not just the fact that it's Anime Con, but it's also a smaller one. You get Comic-Con, that is nationwide and is huge, and it has so much under its belt. Whereas, Anime St. Louis is how many years old? Maybe can't be more than just a couple, right?
But you're missing that there are longer running and bigger anime cons that are still just teenagers.
I mean, yeah,
and young adults.
I'm not fully disagreeing.
And that's because that's how it's getting introduced over here. Think about it. Most anime debuts on Cartoon Network.
True.
Or a similar network in terms of
like
age range and everything. So that's their market, which is fine, but that does make those cons less enjoyable. I went for a couple of hours to one of them with these guys, more or less to check out the vendor room to see if there was anybody there I knew, which there was, and that was it. I was gone in like an hour because it was just
one more damn Inuyasha couple.
Oh God! If I see anything in Inuyasha anymore, I had to put up with that show for years, and it's annoying.
Yeah,
I can't. It gets to a point where I can't do it. So
yeah, how many times can you hear Kagome and Inuyasha?
Sit, boy.
I think that's just like. I feel like that's starting to just become more of like a parody thing than like a serious one, though. To be honest, and honestly, I haven't granted, I've only been to, in my experience, 3 at this point cons. I haven't really seen a lot of like Inuyasha. That's like a bit like out of like the popularity range anymore.
It is. It's finally on its way out, which thank God.
Yeah.
Because nowadays you got people that are gonna be like all into Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online.
Right. I didn't say it was replaced by anything better.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying
Attack on
that
Titan's pretty good.
Attack on Titan's okay. Sword Art Online has its moments, very few and far between. Assassination Classroom looks funny at times.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big anime guy to begin with, so some of that's just lost on me by association of not caring.
That's fair.
Yeah, no problem.
But that's, so the selling pops thing, though, to kind of get back what got us on this tangent is really, I think that there does need to be, and I know most people won't do this because word gets out, you're restricting what people can sell. Not everybody's going to give you a chance to explain that, it's good for everybody if you do. Do you piss off the guy who his only business is doing conventions, so he skips your convention and word gets out in that community? So I get why they won't, but in an ideal world, yes, saying I've got an area I'm partitioning off. If more than 50% of your merchandise is Pops, I have this many spaces.
Yeah.
And
right. I mean,
and you'll get people who try to get around that anyway, but that would be the great ideal world. And really should be that for anything.
I feel like they could explain that. Like, in the question, or like in the list, I think, like, that's something they could make aware of like in their rolling list for vending room, for the vend room, when you're signing up. Like, I feel like that's something they could talk about that would, or like have listed as like a rule here is like, we're gonna want to know what you guys plan to sell, and there might be a chance you could be declined if we find out that we've got this many number of people with the exact same type of stuff, and it probably will be done in like a first come first served basis. I'm sorry.
I was wondering. I was like, I started to hear.
I didn't know. I'm sorry if that was reverb.
It's him messing with his microphone, but then he's sitting there bumping into the spring hold on it, and it's like, stop that! I can hear it. Sorry. Anyway, you guys probably hear a ton of stuff in this thing you wouldn't even want to hear anyway. But so yeah, and the next toy show's in November, early November. So one of the Christmas shows, because there's one in early November and December instead of the usual month skip.
You guys aren't doing Archon?
No, oh. I don't have the market for that yet.
Fair enough.
My overhead would kill me to take enough merchandise to hope to make my money back would cost more money than I'd make back.
Right. So, yeah, we've avoided.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're getting there. Definitely better shape than we were a year ago. Yeah, and if we keep trending this way, I did have some good finds there. I had a guy, regular vendor, box full of Sega games with a system and a Sega CD in it. Talk it off. He didn't know what he had. Didn't really want to price out. I was like, well, give me $65 for it. All right. I'm like, okay, even if the Sega CD doesn't work, I can get X amount out of the games, X amount out of the system. I'll break even. It's a safe gamble. Got home. Thankfully, the Sega CD unit works. So does the Sega attached to. So I can put the pair together for a decent price and set it out. The games were mostly common games. There was a Mortal Kombat 2 in there. There was a Echo Tides of Time. But a lot of it sports and a lot of it low-end Sonic games, which is fine. I think I know some of this is a limitation. What I'd like to see is a little bit longer time for vendors to talk, because it's a lot easier to work deals in or vendor-wise without the people in there. Like, I really think they need to eliminate the early bird.
Okay.
Because, we're not allowed in the building until 6. You have 8 o'clock's early bird, 9 o'clock's general pop. And while there's never been a ton of people at the early bird, still trying to sit there and talk prices with people who are then going to be there during business hours, that would be like us getting a cam shot into Apple talking about, well, it's going to cost us this $5 to make in China, but we're going to charge people $500 for this low-down version of the phone. You don't want to do that as a guy trying to make a living.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I'd like to see. Is
and
just
even
more
besides
time.
that, is it just stresses people to try and rush and set up, and that's never really a good thing. Is it could lead to messing up something or?
Yeah, eventually I'd like to see us, because that hampers us a lot with our style of, is have better shelving equipment and eventually package in such a way where many things can just be set out in package. I'm really considering getting a lot of those fake vegetable crates, because I see a lot of people using those and they actually wind up working fairly well for games. So I'm going to look at options like that are easy to pack in the car as is. But that's toy show stuff. I know Kevin doesn't have a lot of experience with that, so just things out there for those of you who listen who either are a reseller or go to a lot of shows. Let us know what you think. Do you guys think that there's getting to be too much of one thing, maybe a focus too much on one type of thing? Let us know. Or if you do shows, show us, talk to us about whatever you would like to see for these come out of these con guys. And don't say stupid stuff like, I want the tables to be cheaper. I've seen how much it costs to run just a okay venue. I've booked wrestling shows. To get a KC hall for a night is $3,000. That you can't even come off the top rope because you'll go through the ceiling tiles.
Yeah.
$3,000 for their main hall. They've got to make that money. They've got to guarantee they'll make that money back long before admission. Right. So that if you guys don't draw, they're protected. So nothing like that. But like real serious thoughts. So
I know we finished up most of our gaming news, but this is just a little bit something I just saw on Kotaku that's pretty funny. Apparently, Battleborn, the game that was like always kind of compared to Overwatch in its infancy, apparently it's going free to play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was finding that kind of interesting.
That makes sense because Overwatch definitely said, "You're cute. We're gonna take your market share now. Thanks. Bye."
And it was
thanks
just
for warming the car up first, boys. We're gonna go take it for a spin now.
And that was the sad part, was there was a lot more differences than people were willing to admit, and that, really it wasn't fair. Like, the only thing you could really compare about them was kind of just like the general, like, hero style were similar. Like, you had your very unique characters that fulfilled each role. But beyond that, there was a lot of differences.
The general theme of each game was the same: heroes battling each other. And at the end of the day, that gradation was enough for people to go, well, if I've got to pick one, I'm going to pick the one everybody's playing, and the one everybody's playing
was better.
Was Overwatch. So, but let's move on. We're getting near the end of our hour, so I just want to kind of talk through a couple of interesting notes for wrestling, and then I think we'll get out of here. Sound about right?
Sounds good.
About good.
All right. First of all, Clash of Champions happened this last Sunday. That's the first Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Not as good as Backlash. Definitely had its moments. Couple big notes. The New Day held on to the tag titles, and for being portrayed as the babyface tag team, they won through kind of heel tactics without even being as a teased heel turn. It was just, they tried to do that just to kind of keep the edge on the New Day, and I think keep them ready for a heel turn if they need to. But a very short match, not great. I think it's time to stop the feud with Gallows and Anderson before they waste them and move on to someone else. The first Cruiserweight Championship match happened. TJ Perkins beat Kendrick. It was by submission, which is good because I like the idea of showing that these guys could win in ways other than just high-impact moves. A lot of people complained there wasn't enough quote-unquote flips or enough Cruiserweight moves. Again, they're going to tone them down. I would save the really big, awe-inspiring Cruiserweight moves for Big Four pay-per-views where everybody's watching, but that's just my opinion. That's how I'd book them to keep them also safe and not injured. You want to talk about going too far on shows that don't matter. Look at the number of times ECW had to strip a belt because somebody was on the shelf for a year because they'd get a major injury doing a stupid stunt at a house show.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to book smart for the long term. The most interesting note of the night, even though it wasn't the best match, was the best of 7 series, Cesaro and Sheamus, ending in a tie when the ref had to stop the fight. Unfortunately, the spot that caused them to stop the fight, which was clearly a work, came after a legitimate moment where Cesaro almost got injured for realsies. So it took kind of the sting out of the moment. But it still worked, and it went exactly where we were expecting it to go, which is now they're teasing, can the two of them team up and work together? They'll probably get a short tag team reign out of this to set them up for another match at a Big Four pay-per-view, which the next one is Survivor Series. So that's where I'd see that going. Jericho defeated Sami Zayn. It was a good match. Jericho really didn't need the win unless they're prepping him for something big on his way out, because he starts up touring with Fozzy again soon. Charlotte with Dana Brooke defeated Bayley and Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. They're setting up, basically they're using Sasha Banks and Bayley to make Dana Brooke look strong enough that eventually she could be inserted into something of a 4-way scenario. And not a fun, Showtime After Dark 4-way side, is boring match type.
Damn.
Roman Reigns defeated Rusev for the United States Championship. That's just more of them trying to rebuild Reigns and get the crowd, they would say, back on his side. In reality, on his side at all. Honestly, it is the way to do it. Instead of just saying he's the main event, he's gonna be the champion whether you like it or not. We don't care that you're not cheering for him. They're giving you reasons to care. They're building him up. They had him go over Rusev, kind of made him look like a heel, gave him a little bit of that heel edge with attacking him next night on Raw with a chair and everything else. But it's still Roman Reigns. I'm still gonna boo. Kevin Owens defeated Seth Rollins to keep the belt, which was shocking to me. I thought they gave Owens the belt just to build up to a proper face versus heel match with Rollins. And that's the biggest scary note, is Rollins possibly being injured again. A lot of potential is that it's his ribs or something in his chest. Could be a work because, they had him going to a doctor. but then saying he's going to be back this Monday and showing up. He's still kind of on TV, so hopefully it is just a work. I really don't like it when they have high injury counts to then try to do an injury angle. It blurs the lines a little too much. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, I was the only one talking, making sure you guys are still paying attention. I know wrestling's more my thing, but now.
To be fair, if this was back like 15 years ago, I'd probably be right up there with you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think you could understand the concepts. I'm talking about, like the booking concepts.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't know what's going on.
Well, back when I was still watching wrestling, that was one of the things that they didn't really make I guess the fans wouldn't really know so much about that. It was more so of, you had the plot line you were dealing with, and
right.
They didn't focus as much on the quote-unquote behind-the-scenes stuff as they seem to show now.
Right, and that causes the interesting dilemma of you can pull that envelope back too far. Even when people know what's up, you still really don't want them to know everything because it doesn't do your business any good. So, but that's definitely a debate for another time. What I would say about the most interesting wrestling note this week is TNA has a pay-per-view this Sunday, Bound for Glory, and there's a fairly good chance it's going to be canceled because they don't have the money to put it on.
Oh, damn.
Billy Corgan has been floating them for a couple of months now, and as a result has a 30% ownership stake. He'd love to own the whole thing, take it a smaller level, rebrand it, whatever. He has experience. He used to run Resistance Pro. So the interesting thing here is, though, WWE is involved with buying the only thing they care about, which is the trademark names and the tape library. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is like the WCW sale all over again. It's not even that good because WCW had exclusive contracts with talent, so they could pick those contracts up and get value out of them right away.
Yeah.
Nobody's under a TNA exclusive deal. Everybody's got a deal that says, I can go wrestle for these guys as long as they don't interfere with your dates. And even if some even have it where even if they do, I have the right to say which event I want to go to. Those what we call open contracts are not WWE style and wouldn't fit in with their booking model.
Yeah.
The best they might get is one or two guys they're willing to do that for to ship down to NXT.
Although, if WWE does get by TNA, wouldn't that essentially mean they get Sting back?
No, they've had Sting.
Really?
And then they broke his neck and ended his career.
Oh, shit.
Seth Rollins, actually.
Okay.
Turnbuckle Powerbomb. Ended Sting's career. But he's still a legend under a Legends deal with them.
When was this?
Oh, God. This was Survivor Series last year.
Jeez, because I remember him coming back for like a little bit.
Yeah, Sting's debut in the company was the last old-time, holdout from that era. So that era is over. Now the surprise debut is if an indie guy that got prominence is going to show up in NXT. That's the new WCW guy showing up on Raw is now Bobby Roode just showed up, fresh out of TNA to NXT, or when Eric Young showed up for 1 week, or James Storm. So that's your new surprise show up is indie guys coming over for 1 or 2 matches and then leaving again. But I bring all this up because, WWE wants TNA for the tape library and the trademarks because they don't acknowledge them because they are competition technically. So there's a lot of guys' backstory they can't tell. They can't really tell Bobby Roode's backstory because most of his North American wrestling career was in TNA.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, same thing. They talk about his time in Japan and they talk about his time on the Indies, but they never specifically say, oh yeah, and he also was a 6-time champion if you count all of his belt reigns in TNA. They buy the tape library, which they can desperately use on the network, and the trademark rights, then they can say, oh, here's this, we're putting together a best of that shows his best matches in TNA and stuff. So that's, they've got till basically tomorrow by the time this is recorded. This is Thursday night, so they got 15 minutes or so business day-wise to figure out a deal to float the pay-per-view and the next set of TV tapings where TNA is effectively done.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they just announced they signed Cody Rhodes and his wife and a bunch of other people. They just signed the former Damian Sandow. So it's real funny that they're bringing all these people in and may not be able to pay them.
Yeah, TNA always really seemed like it was going downhill fast.
Well, that's not true. They made it like 12 years. Their mistake was, and not for the reason people think, well, part of it is, they made 3 mistakes. One, they put Vince Russo in with head of creative with nobody to really calm him down because he was good friends with Jeff Jarrett while Jeff Jarrett was majority owner. And he gave them some good moments, but he also gave them a lot of crazy moments. The Dr. Stevie thing, destroying Abyss's character. That was all him. He kind of gets sent home, works with them at a consulting level, but Spike TV wanted nothing to do with him because they remembered him from when they first got WWE. Finds out he's still working with them, and that's one of the reasons why they didn't renew their contract with Spike. Then they bring in Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. I didn't mind them bringing in Bischoff. I still think Bischoff has a lot of good ideas for the business. He's not a wrestling guy, but he's never really ever claimed to be.
Yeah.
He is more of a TV producer guy. Problem is he's too good of friends with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan got in his ear about things they should do. And unfortunately, it didn't work. Hogan became the center of the attention again, way past the time when that works. People stopped watching, went away. And then the third mistake was not forcing Dixie Carter out. A person with no wrestling knowledge, no understanding of how the business is structured, made all the other bad decisions possible. And when the first time TNA sale rumors came up, one of the things that killed those deals was they were trying to structure a deal in a way where she could maintain power.
Yeah.
Where she could still be in charge of the product. Well, if you're selling the product because it's not making money, the last thing I want to do is buy it and let the person who's been running it into the ground keep running it.
True.
Because now you're running my money into the ground.
Yeah, that would be smart.
Yeah. So hopefully they figure something out in the next 10 minutes and put something together. Actually, their time's not ahead of us, so their time is technically up unless they can really work magic with, some kind of promissory deal. If they can prove they'll have funding Monday morning, because then they'll be in breach of contract with the TV network, Pop TV. If they can't produce their next set of tapings, they'll be in breach of contract with the pay-per-view company. They're already millions of dollars reportedly in the hole from No DQ and PW Insider. I mean, this literally, we've been saying it for years, this literally could be the death of TNA. The death of the only close to, or at one point in time, because they're not even anymore, close to national competitor to WWE. So it'll be an interesting few weeks to see how that goes down. And on that somber note, I think we'll go ahead and end it for tonight. We're about to hit that hour mark. So from all of us here at Nerds Night Gaming, I'll say goodbye for Harley since she had to leave. I'm Kid Thunder DJ.
Fire 47.
Super Saiyan 5.
All right, guys. Have a good night.